Hello, hello. How are you, everyone? We're going to do today a live with Alan Aragon, so stay connected. Let me see if I can invite him in. A minute. Hello. This is going to be a very interesting Q&A. I've got some questions regarding training and coaching for him, and another part of it will be a little bit of a body composition, and the last bit is going to be perhaps just doing some small myth busting around certain questions that people usually ask very often. So let's see, let's have a look, and I'm waiting for Ellen to connect. Hello. If you have any further questions, I will write them down and try to answer if we have some time to do it.
Timmy, how are you, Mark?
Oh.
Yesterday, 364.
All right. So here we go. It's connecting. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Astrid?
How are you?
What's up? I'm good. I'm finding a place in the house where I actually get some good reception, because the room that I chose was not optimal. So I'm gonna go for this alternate room, get some light in here, and get settled in. All right, here we go. Oh. Okay, cool. I'm here. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Thank you so much for being here and for putting the time together to do this.
Anytime.
So, Alan, one thing I think most of the audience pretty much know you really well, but for those who haven't heard much about you, tell me a little bit about who you are and where you come from. Tell me a little bit more about you.
Okay, so I am one of the, I'm just going to be blunt, all right? I'm one of the pioneers of the evidence-based movement in the fitness industry. And by evidence-based, we mean relying on a scientific research basis to use as a platform for programming and platform for further investigation of the truth as it relates to fitness. And so that's kind of what I am, what I'm about. I've been in the industry since about 1992. So it's been a long time, been a long journey. And it is an absolute privilege to be able to get interviewed by somebody with your stature in the industry, Astrid. So I'm really thankful to be here.
You are amazing, and I need to thank you for, like, with all my heart, because I think you were one of the first person that I actually met in this industry, especially through Instagram, and when we connected, it was really amazing to have a chat. Yeah, you've been such a great person and friend through all this. Like, it's been already a few years, I think.
Yes, it's been a few years, and yeah, you've been a great friend and a great colleague as well. And I want your audience to know that you've contributed several articles to my research review, my monthly research review. And they have been some of the best received articles that I've ever run in the 12 years of my research review. So I got to give you big time credit for that, Astrid.
Thank you so much. And I actually working on the next one. I know I've been taking my time, but it's going to be really, really good. I promise it will be.
Oh, awesome. Great. Looking forward to it.
So let's get some questions. I got some questions that are going to be targeted to coaching. A lot of people ask me about how you deal with clients and things like that. And I guess this is going to be really important for coaches and people who are starting off in their business coaching other people. The second part of it will be some quick questions about body composition and some periodization of nutrients like protein and carbohydrates. And the last little bit, if we've got some time, we're going to go through some quick questions about myth busting that probably are very common lately that we hear a lot. So the first question I've got for you, Alan, is how do you build credibility in social media?
Big question. Big question. Credibility in social media, you have to commit to a certain philosophy. So whether you commit to following an entertainment route, or whether you commit to following a scientific route, or whether you commit to somewhere in between, it's important that you just be yourself as far as that part goes. Like for me, what comes natural for me is presenting the research side of what we know to be the best current evidence in nutrition, exercise, and supplementation. So I take a very research and science heavy approach to it, and I think that's been the key to my audience growth, is just staying very consistent and not compromising with taking a scientific approach over an approach that might be focused on gaining popularity or making the fastest money. And so that's been my approach. But I think most importantly, you just got to be yourself. And if you're good at the science side of things, you have to realize how complicated the science is and how important it is to be able to communicate it to the audience who's not a bunch of researchers. So in addition to sticking with the science, it's been very important for me to be able to communicate that science in a way that the audience can digest palatably.
And that's so important. I think that's one thing I found that is so key when it comes to communicate the evidence in such a easy and lay terms that people can understand. And I found them in a way that I can communicate them when I use my memes, and you can also engage the audience in a funny way, and then it invites to interaction and makes them think about the actual topic, but not necessarily reading a paper or reading through just complicated terms that can be just more just make things more confusing. So I think huge key, and consistency again is, I guess, I would say that's the most important thing. Once you get started, you gotta show. And yes, this is amazing.
Right.
Next, oh, you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to add to that it's important to follow the people whose work that you like, and it's totally okay to borrow some techniques and approaches from them. But I think that the people who can really stand out are those who are really, they just do exactly what they want to do, and they're not necessarily trying to become the next Astrid or the next Alan or the next whoever. You know, you have to have a certain amount of courage to feel that what you bring to the table, what's uniquely you, is great, and you can just really follow up on that and not be afraid to put it out there.
I feel like this speaks to so many people, and even to myself when I got started, because I felt like I was never doing enough, or I was never being like I think I couldn't find my voice, and I was always scared of putting content out there, and scared of being rejected or not being accepted by others. And think this is a very important thing. This is like just trying to find your own voice and become confident of what you know, and try to spread that information in the way you know is going to be the best for your audience, and always be open to change and adjust as long as you go, because it's part of your growth and part of your learning as you start getting more experience in communicating the evidence base in a way that people can understand it. It is going to take some time for you to adjust and learn, well, this didn't work, what can work best next time, as that continuous reflection on how can you do best next time.
Agreed. Put it out there. Just sometimes you got to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, especially if you're just starting out and you don't really know what groove that you're comfortable with, or finding your voice, like you mentioned. The best way to find your voice is just try different things. Try to put stuff out there, see what sits with you the best, see what your audience likes, and then you kind of find a compromise there.
Absolutely. Now, second question. Someone asked, how do you deal with clients who are so stuck in myth and won't be open to learn anything else or anything new? Like they feel like this is the way things are, and there's no way to do things differently.
Ooh, that's tough, because if you're talking about clients who are already paying you, then they're paying to get your advice. So if it's not a client, if it's somebody who are we
I'm
good?
losing you. I'm losing you. You're running around.
This I guess mine isn't optimal, but okay, I'm gonna start over. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So if somebody is not a client and they're really entrenched in their mythical beliefs, then you have to ask the question, is this person ready to learn? Because sometimes on the continuum of learner readiness, somebody can be at the very wrong end. So on one end of the continuum, you have somebody who has adopted the position of a student, of a true student. And that person is receptive to learning, receptive to changing their mind. And then all the way on the other end of the continuum, you have somebody who has adopted the position of an authority. Like they truly believe, I'm the authority. And so they're not going to listen to anything you have to say, because they've already read their one New York Times bestseller. They've already read it. They've memorized it. And so they're an expert now. And so I think it's impossible to try to teach somebody who's all the way on this side of the continuum. So with learner readiness, number one, you have to assess that. Because I think there's no getting through to them. And so if somebody's a little bit in the middle, if they're at least willing to listen, then you've got it. And certainly if somebody's in the student position, then great. But some people,
would you consider to you
not ready to learn, and I have engaged people.
I lost it again. Oh gosh. So would you consider using, obviously, if the person has started working with you, they already know your position, obviously. So what about like trying to get an approach of discussing that specifically with the person and say, well, this is, if you let me, give me permission to give you my opinion on what the evidence says, I would love to just talk to you about that. And I
Yeah.
am not trying to change your mind, but if you're open to just listen and want to explore a little bit what is that about, let's go and have a chat about that. And you kind of leave that open for them to want to listen, and then you kind of plant the seed. And once they, and if they want to do anything about it, they can now take the decision when they want. But at least you kind of try to put the seed out there and do the best you can. It's kind of part of the part of you when you already know that something is not really sitting well. You're trying to do your best.
Yeah, it's a challenge with the profession. It is a challenge. And a lot of times when your clients are part of the lay audience, or the audience who isn't just, you know, sticking their nose in the research all day, sometimes what people can relate to are populations, are world populations. So for example, if somebody has the belief that the only way to lose weight is keto, somebody has that belief, then you can point to world populations and how they eat, what their diets consist of, and what their diets have consisted of since the beginning of human history. And so you can challenge the belief systems of people and say, okay, well, if you feel like keto is really the only way to lose weight, then why are literally the leanest population on the planet Earth, why are none of them on a ketogenic diet? And why are, in fact, most of them on a low-fat diet? Like, why is that? You know, you can challenge people like that.
Yeah.
And something I've also brought up when I'm teaching in conferences, and this is a powerful tool to use to just illustrate the power of population, you know, the power of the reality of what's happening within populations. You can be in a room of, like, let's say 100 people in the audience, and you can ask the audience, okay, everybody who has tried the ketogenic diet or some form of keto, raise your hand. Almost the entire room will raise their hand. And then the next question that you ask is, okay, out of all of you guys who raised your hand, how many of you are still on the ketogenic diet right now? Maybe 10 hands go up. Maybe 10 hands. And so you're looking at 1/10 room who loves keto and is still doing it permanently. And so then you raise the point, okay, what did we just learn there? Okay, and then you can continue your line of questioning and just examples from there. And so, yeah, that's an interesting question. It's something that's worth looking at on a case-by-case basis. But in my experience, when you direct the lay public to populations, then they can relate. You know, oh gosh, yeah, why is that true with everybody in this country or that continent or that region? Oh, why is it true with everybody in this room that everyone's tried keto, but not the whole room stuck to it? There must be something to that. And those are questions that are powerful food for thought for people.
Oh, that's so good. And I think that applies so much to, like, even when you go for big talks, and you always will have people on those ketogenic or those paths, those thoughts that they really think this is the way. And then it is much easier to show, well, the majority is not, it's not there. So it doesn't mean like it might not work for you, or it not be something that is potentially good for you, as long as you can sustain it and you are using it in the right way, but you're not kind of bragging about it or telling telling everyone else that they should do that as well because that worked for you. So anecdotal experiences might not be really the best thing to do when it comes to specific nutrition advice or things like that, because that can always affect someone else, the way they do things, and then that can be a really, I would say, affect the relationship with food, or I guess they will just mess up with the whole diet, thinking that that's the right way. You still there?
Okay, I was able to hear. Yes, I'm here. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. I heard everything except like the last sentence.
Yeah, don't move.
Okay, how about now? Can you see me, hear me?
Yeah, don't move.
Okay. Okay, what would be his question?
Oh, the next question would be, what are the top ways to get clients, especially if you're a new coach? This is a difficult one.
So if you're a new coach, what are the ways to get clients? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. Ask for, just make it known that you are available and that you're qualified, and just literally put yourself out there and use all of the social media tools to your disposal. So we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, now we've got TikTok. I'm not sure how good Snapchat is for this sort of thing, but I'm assuming it is. So you just use all the tools, all the free tools that you have, and just consistently put out helpful content. Let people see your personality, let people see your face, and let people see that you are passionate about this, and let people see that you care about this, and let people know that you will do 120% to try to help them reach their goals. And just be honest. You know, don't exaggerate what you can do. Don't exaggerate any stats. Just be straight up. And also, one of the techniques that you can do is network with people whose work that you admire. Just get to know them and offer to do collaborations. And so, whoops, I froze right there. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes. You move so much.
How about now?
Yeah, it's fine. It's good. But don't move so much.
I move when I freeze. Okay. So, yeah, just simply contact the people whose work that you like. Just DM them, say, "Hey, what's up, dude?" Or "What's up, non-dude? I would like to collaborate somehow." And then you just take the conversation from there. A lot of people, most of the people in our profession, they welcome collaborations with anybody who can create high quality information, and anybody who is of the same basic approach, basic philosophy, using science-based stuff to make the world better in terms of nutrition and fitness. We welcome those kind of collaborations, especially if you know that you can put together some high quality science-based material, which, I mean, I can even use you as an example. Like, what has it been, 2 years back or something like that?
Yeah.
You literally just knocked on my DM and said, "Hey, Alan, what's up? I love your material and would like to see if you have any ideas to collaborate." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, what an honor. A a real nutritionist who's qualified and highly experienced is wants to collaborate. This is wonderful. This is great. So I think people have to get over that barrier that people with bigger audiences are somehow just closed off and in their own world and not open to collaborating. So I would like to think that your courage and just knocking on my door and saying, hey, Alan, I'd like to collaborate, whatever ideas you have, that, you know, let's talk about it. I think that was very powerful, and that's something that anybody can do.
I do agree. And I think it is a little bit scary because you feel like it might be this point of that this person, how is this person going to receive it? And either the person responds, well, I'm not interested. It's like, it's that feeling of scare, that fear of being rejected, where sometimes it's like that difficult part of putting that out there.
Yeah. Yep. It just takes a little bit of courage. That's all. So
yeah.
With anything, you're always going to be afraid to make moves with anything. But as long as you just do it, even while you just do it, even if you're afraid to do it, then that's the important thing. That's the important part.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, you're moving again.
All right. Okay. Can you see me now? Hello?
You move so much. Gosh. Okay.
Hey, it's neat. I'm fidgeting.
Oh, absolutely. You probably ate so much carbs today.
I did. I'm pumped up, man.
All right. Now I'm going to go into some questions regarding body composition and nutrient periodization. And okay. One question was how to find balance between staying a single-digit body fat and actually eating healthy.
Okay. Balance between single-digit body fat and eating healthy. By eating healthy, what sort of definition is this person thinking about? You know,
I guess trying to eat more and more balanced. Or I guess they know that being in a single-digit body fat invites to being more strict, being more consistent with certain limitations. There has to be more restrictions in socializing, things like that. And I guess eating healthy, they're thinking they can eat more carbs, they can go out, they can live more normal.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, single-digit body fats. First of all, we're talking about men. With women, it's just not realistic to shoot for that. So I'm just making the assumption we're talking about men. I would say just being really kind of honest and frank, most people are not going to be able to maintain single-digit body fat all year round. There's going to be a minority of people who can do it, but most men are not going to be able to do it unless they're pretty constantly dieting throughout the year. So I would question whether or not that approach in and of itself is the healthiest approach to take. So just to throw some data at you, there have been a couple of landmark publications on what is a healthy body fat percentage range for men and for women. And both of the publications, one was in the late 90s, one of them was in the early 2000s. Both of them converge on the road. Now this is general population, not athletes necessarily, general population. For men, anything between 10 and 20% is considered normal and healthy. And for women, anything 20 and 30% was considered normal and healthy. And this was consistent with those publications, right around 10% being the lower end, right around 20, and then right around 20 lower end for women, and right around 30 for the upper end. So given those statistics, with 10% being the low end of normal and healthy, for you to have a goal to push down below 10% and maintain that, then you could potentially run into some health risks if you don't have a natural tendency to be lean all the time. And I would add another aspect to that answer. People don't realize that people associate having a six-pack or whatever. They associate that with anything 10% and below, let's say. But in reality, you really have to push quite a bit lower than that to attain these sort of physique ideals that people see in the magazines or see in the movies. And a lot of times they don't realize that people are holding that condition for a week or two at most. And then they just let it go and let it go back to normal. But those photos live on forever. And so a lot of people are under the impression that the people that they admire are having these extra lean and shredded up physiques for most of the year, when that's not true. You're setting yourself up to be very miserable if you make it a goal of yours to look worthy or contest worthy of a photo all year round. I think people are misled into thinking that's a reality.
I do agree, and it is like a trade-off when you are dealing with all these different metabolic adaptations. You're risking your metabolic health to a point that there can be you kind of need to find out that peak where what's optimal and what's sustainable, and when things can go down the way and actually harm you rather than actually give you benefit. And a lot of people associate being in a single digit body fat to happiness, and it is so far from being true.
Yes, totally agreed. 100%. Like the problems that you have right now are not going to be solved with a six-pack. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And I think it actually can get worse, because people get so focused on that they get isolated. They have to be so restricted and so focused on what they are trying to achieve that actually makes everything worse, instead of helping them to get better, unless their only focus is to get into a contest prep or something like that. But if it's not that the case, it is actually putting that person into isolation, because it's really hard to kind of maintain that body fat for that long. And I think it is unsustainable for the majority of the people. Some people might be just very lean by just naturally, and that can be a good thing for some people. But we're talking about the big majority of people that are not necessarily even close to being a single body fat, just as they breathe and they walk around the world, just by simply being that lean.
I have a friend and colleague named Brett. Do you follow Brett?
Oh yeah, and I think I actually met him once, and I think he doesn't remember, but I met him in Arizona one day that I did performance with Athlete Performance. It was a company that currently their name is Exos, and I did like a coach mentorship with them, and he was attending that mentorship. So absolutely, I know who we're talking about.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you know Brett and you've actually met him. Goodness. He has a post right now. His latest post is a kind of exactly on what you and I were talking about. Just sort of body satisfaction, positive body image, self of your own body, and being comfortable in your own skin. I think that is a huge problem in our industry. that a lot of the practitioners and a lot of the enthusiasts get caught up in, is being highly dissatisfied with your body. And there's a healthy level of dissatisfaction, a healthy level that would enable you to harness the discipline to set goals and work for them. Okay, so that there's a healthy level of dissatisfaction, but there is also a point where it gets to be unhealthy, to the point where you're never satisfied with your body and you are constantly harboring a psychological level of dislike for your own body image. And I think that's a dangerous area as far as our industry goes. And I would encourage you to check out Brett's latest post. It's really, really excellent on that. I mean, he uses himself as an example. He's just shirtless and doing a spin and, you know, grabbing his belly and everything. It's really freaking wonderful. I'm super proud of him for posting that.
Yeah, that's so important. I will, guys, check that out, and I will check that out too. Now, next question. They ask, when and how carbohydrates could be bad or cause inflammation?
Okay. The concept in the beginning, inflammation is a consequence rather than a cause. Okay, for within our context that we're concerned with. Okay, so what can cause inflammation is accumulating an excess amount of body fat. So that can cause various types of inflammation within various bodily tissues. Now, if you're talking about carbohydrate and inflammation, I think you're kind of looking at the wrong thing.
I think
you're looking at the wrong thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I'm losing you. You're frozen. Move again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're still frozen.
Oh, it's still frozen?
Yep.
Still
That's
frozen?
better. No, you're
okay.
Frozen now.
Frozen now? Unfrozen. Okay. So I think that when you're talking about inflammation and you're thinking about one single macronutrient, whether it's carbs, fat, protein, whatever, I think you're looking at the wrong thing. And I think that you're focused on something other than you should be focused on. So you can measure inflammation in a number of different ways. There are a bunch of different blood markers that would indicate inflammation, like C-reactive protein or IL-6 levels, and down the line, these molecular markers of inflammation. But the only way that carbohydrate would contribute to inflammation is if they are contributing to an excess of total calories that you are sustaining and that are causing you to accumulate excess body fat. That's really the only way that carbs would fit into the inflammation equation. That's really the only way carbohydrates would be a bad thing for inflammation. So, and there's a lot of talk of different things that may be, different foods that may be more inflammatory than other foods. So if I were to reach in the direction of carbohydrate, added sugars, like table sugar, like colorings, you can create a pathological level of subclinical inflammation levels, but you would need to consume an excess of added sugars that contribute to a total caloric surplus that's sustained over time. So there are other players in the game of inflammation rather than just carbohydrate. Like I can create a scenario where I eat a very freaking high carbohydrate. Let's say I eat 80% 80% of my total calories are from carbohydrate. Let's imagine that, okay? If I'm not running a net caloric surplus over time, then there not be any meaningful inflammation that would start the cascade of disease, and any range of pathological conditions. So I think you're looking at the wrong thing when you talk about carbohydrate and inflammation, because you can also look at other macronutrients and point the finger at them, like specifically, there's a lot of research on fat and
Saturated
inflammation,
fat?
saturated fat and inflammation. But then again, it is a context thing. So if there's no sustained caloric surplus going on, if there's enough physical activity happening, and if the other diet and lifestyle factors within the context of the program are solid, then that saturated fat, you can't really point the finger at it as something that's going to cause inflammation. So that's my messy answer to that question.
No, I think you did answer it really well, because it makes sense to think that any excessive amount of calories, regardless whether it comes from fats or from carbohydrates or from whatever, is when you actually do that consistently and excess sustaining that over time, and not just one single day that you went over your carbohydrates is going to cause any inflammation. Is that consistent repetition of that excess, and in addition to that, you got to add other factors like stress, poor sleep, I don't know, a very sedentary lifestyle, and those factors add up to actually create that sort of chronic level of inflammation that we are referring to.
Yes, spot on. Yep.
So following that question, I actually had someone asking me yesterday, do you think, is there any upper limit to how much fat a human could potentially put on in one day? Let's say the person ate 10,000 calories. How much of that is actually stored as fat?
Oh man, that's a tough question. That's a very tough question, because what we would have to do is look at the overfeeding studies that, and it's very hard to find controlled overfeeding studies in the literature that exceed like 1,000 calories above maintenance, because that's about the limit that they can ethically and feasibly make subjects sustain for a number of days, sometimes weeks. So it's very difficult to find the literature that has truly investigated what is the upper limit of body fat that we can put on. There is some observational
What about when you
research.
think about one day, just one day, like let's say someone binged and they were eating roughly 12,000 calories in just one single bout of food, how likely they are to get that amount to convert it into fat? If we know that roughly 3,500 calories can lead you to, it is equal relatively to 1 pound. So how much would potentially store if they ate 13,000, 12,000 calories? You're frozen again. Can't hear you. We're live.
Okay.
I got you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
What happened?
I don't know. The sound just went out. How weird is that?
Oh, that's so weird.
Okay, so we're on a good roll, man. Well, we're on a good.
All right. So we were talking about how likely are you to
Fat. I
put on
remember.
body
Okay.
fat?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the we don't have any research to lean on for this question, but some of the closest research we have to lean on is the Guru Walla, Guruwalla. They're a society that goes through this period of overfeeding. That's like a 3-week period where they gain almost a pound of fat a day for a 2 to 3 week period, almost about a day. And so it is theoretic gain like somewhere between half a pound to a pound of fat in theory. We just don't know what the action out there. Did you hear
You're
me on
getting
that?
frozen again.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try to go to another room, okay?
Okay. Go running.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Okay. I'm going to a whole other room. Okay. How are we doing?
We're doing well.
Okay, cool.
So far so good.
All right. Okay, so yeah, that's what I would say. As far as the evidence goes, we really don't know what's the max you can gain of fat in a day, but theoretically, gosh, if you commit to not sleeping, and you try to eat around the clock for 24 hours, conceivably, there would not necessarily be a limit to how much fat you can gain in a day. Can you eat,
And
So,
I was thinking, your body can also compensate some of it because if you ate, let's say, 10,000 calories, part of that will be burned by digesting, processing, and metabolizing all those nutrients. And in addition to that, your metabolic rate might go up by doing that. And also, like, you're fidgeting more and your body temperature can rise. So I guess it is also part of that can be compensated. So when you see the actual net total calories might not necessarily be the actual amount you ate when it comes to look at the physical activity, the energy compensation, and how you utilize part of that energy to you actually metabolize it. And it probably will depend as well the type of nutrient you ate the most. Like if you ate a lot of protein and fiber, it is going to be much more highly like it will require more energy to utilize and store and use that nutrients that if it was just fat or carbohydrates. What do you think?
Yeah, that's true. No, that is that's definitely true. I'm a study immediately comes to mind. It was done where they fed subjects 1,000 calories above their maintenance needs for 7 days. So 1,000 calories above maintenance gained about a pound of fat and about a pound of lean mass. And their surplus, their 1,000 calorie surplus, was whipping cream. So it's like 80% fat that they ate as a surplus. And in spite of eating 1,000 calories a day for 7 days, they gained a little bit under 1 kilogram of total body weight, and only half was body fat.
I'm looking you again. All right, you're back. Oh gosh.
How about now?
Yes, don't move.
Okay. Okay. So what's the next question?
All right. I got one more question, and I think I will leave it to that because we're going to get closer to 1 hour. So
Okay.
one other question would be around. You all right? Okay. So around protein. So someone asked, my protein goals are around 220 grams a day, but is there any difference, or is there any more efficient way to do it if I did 73 grams in 3 times, or is as efficient as if I ate 55 grams 4 times a day? So they're kind of dividing the total amount of protein in equally for 3 times a day or 4 times. Is there any difference? Is it any more efficient to utilize that protein?
It depends, really. It depends. Okay, if you look at the research comparing protein distribution under the conditions of a caloric deficit, there appears to be really no difference in utilization of protein when you compare an even and frequent distribution through the course of 12 hours versus a more concentrated distribution over, let's say, 7 or 8 hours. So you're looking at the difference between 6 meals versus, okay, there's no the conditions of a caloric deficit. So if C has the goal of gaining muscle, that's their main, and in that case, you would want to optimize that with a caloric surplus. So in caloric surplus conditions, we can hypothesize that you would at least want to consume 3 to 4 protein feedings at minimum through the course of the day. And the research upon which that hypothesis is based is short-term acute response studies on muscle protein synthesis, where they've compared 2 meals a day versus 4 meals a day versus 8 meals a day. And the 4 meals a day condition beat the 2 meals and the 8 meals a day. So we're making certain leaps of speculation based on short-term research. But really, if you're asking a question that nitpicks at mechanisms, then technically speaking, you would want to maintain a certain minimum frequency of protein intake at 3 or 4 minimum if the goal is muscle growth. But for muscle retention, you can potentially go lower than that and still be okay.
Okay. That's awesome. I think we've got almost 1 hour, so it will run out very quickly. So I really want to thank you so much for your time, Alan, and thank you for coming in and providing all this value to our audience. And I'm sure if there's any other opportunity, we'll be able to answer more questions. Thank you for being here. Is there anywhere people need to go to see your contents, find out more about what you do?
Just go to my profile. The link is in my profile. Just click that and it leads to my website. So that's all you need to do. And I also want to mention, if you can still hear me, I see I'm still now. You got me?
Now it's good. Yeah.
We're good? Good? Okay. I do a monthly research review where you can see my work. You can see Astrid's work as a guest contributor. She's fantastic. Thank you so much, Astrid, for being such a wonderful friend and a wonderful professional colleague as well, all wrapped into one. So I'm very thankful for you. And I would love to do this again, and maybe we'll have better connection next time.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Let's try to see if we can organize another one.
Yes, yes.
All right. You have a great day, and I will see you soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any further questions, please send it through, and we are going to try to answer them as much as we can. Bye.